It's always around this time of year when our wheels start turning. What story can we tell our donors, our churches, our community members that shows the true heart of Love Inc.? How could we ever choose? So as we're winding down 2024, we've decided to tell you about the seeds. That sounds funny, right? Seeds? What could you be talking about? I thought you served people. Well, we do. Think of this verse in Luke 8. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path. It was trampled on, and the birds ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, and when it came up, the plants withered because they had no moisture. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up with it and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up and yielded a crop 100 times more than was sown. As Love Inc., our mission is to mobilize local churches to transform lives and communities in the name of Christ. But transformation doesn't happen overnight. A lot of the time, we never get to see it. We're just called to be faithful to put the seed in the ground. For example, this summer, Benton County churches collected 717 backpacks that were distributed to school children in need, each one with a Love Inc. flyer on the inside, offering prayer and tangible goods and services. That's 717 seeds sown. In August, 21 animals were donated at the Benton County 4-H auction. A grant paid for the processing of the meat, and Love Inc. will end up distributing nearly 15,000 pounds of quality protein to hungry people in our community. That's 15,000 seeds sown. On an average week, the Love Inc. call center receives and returns more than 200 phone calls. Most are filled with encouragement that each person has value, no one is alone, and that followers of Jesus genuinely care enough to volunteer their time to talk and pray with people. Each phone call is a seed sown. Then, as tangible needs are met in the Gap Ministries, a hygiene bag for a man living in his car, a bike for a woman to ride to work, a load of firewood to keep a family warm in the winter, seeds are watered and nourished, encouraged to start growing in a new direction. Occasionally, Love Inc. staff and volunteers get to see something amazing. It's not always evident at first, but then, like a plant breaking through the soil for the first time, the little seed that was sown starts to reach up out of the dirt. It's new growth, the beginning of a life being transformed. It makes me think of one woman we met a few years ago. I'll call her Katie. Katie's heart was what we might call rocky soil. While trying to overcome a past of drugs and incarceration, she heard about Love Inc. through her inpatient rehab program and made requests through our call center for tangible needs to be met. And they were. Hygiene items, linens, clothing for her son, a birthday present for her daughter. Seeds were planted. Volunteers offered prayer, and over time her heart softened. Seeds were watered, and she began attending a local partner church where they continued to pour into her. The baby seed sprung up and she got baptized. Katie started attending Love Inc. Grow Together classes, gaining skills in affirming potential, faith in finances, boundaries, and parenting with love and logic. She finished outpatient rehab, secured housing, and is now stable for the first time in her life. What began as a seed in rocky soil has turned into a fruit-bearing plant, and the people who know her would say she's now quite busy planting seeds of her own. Katie's life has been touched by nearly 100 volunteers since we first met her. None of this would be possible without the groundbreakers who had faith in what God could do before the seed was even planted. That's you, our Love Inc. donors and volunteers. When you give to Love Inc., you are sowing seeds that will yield a crop 100 times more than was sown. Even though we don't always get to see it, we have faith that transformation will come. However, there's still more work to be done. Just as a farmer nurtures his field, would you consider making a year-end gift to Love Inc.? Your support will help us sow, plant, and nourish more seeds, allowing new life to emerge, transformed by the love of Jesus. Thank you for joining us in this mission. We couldn't do it without you.